All right, I'm here with Paul Dale, and I've talked to him about sewer gators that I absolutely loved, and I loved Killer Kites
Thanks,
last
man.
year. Now we got Murdaritaville that's coming out March 1st. I absolutely love this movie. This was probably one of the best ones you've done yet, hands down.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. This is my favorite at all of the ones I've done.
So my first question is, I know that this is supposed to be a love letter to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, but how did the whole idea come about?
So that's a great question. That's a very. I wish I had a better answer for it, other than that. Like, I'm like a 90-year-old man on the inside, right? So like, I like old crap. Like all the. I guess not 90, but whatever. I like stuff from the 70s. So like, all my favorite music's from the 70s and 80s and stuff. So I yeah, I just really like Jimmy Buffett. I'm a weird iconoclast. I like Jimmy Buffett and bad movies, and I was like, how can I mirror mold those two things together? And so yeah, it went through a bunch of iterations. Like one day, I just thought of the title of Murdaritaville, and that made me laugh, And then at one point, it was going to be a group of Jimmy Buffett impersonators who were having a hurricane party. I don't know if you know what a hurricane party is or not.
I'm not sure what that is.
So I'm from Louisiana, right? And down here, when you have a hurricane coming, or at least it used to be, I don't know how many people actually do this anymore. You'd have a hurricane party. So basically, everybody gets together in like a bar or at somebody's house and just gets drunk and waits for the hurricane to come. Um, so it was going to be like a bunch of Jimmy Buffett impersonators in a bar drinking margaritas while a hurricane is hitting. And then they all get trapped inside, and then somebody starts picking them off one by one. That was the original concept of it, and then I don't know how it morphed in my crazy brain into a man who turns into a parrot head. But
Yeah,
it did.
I think that's new. I think that's something fresh because you always see like werewolves or these other were type like were hyenas or this is the first time I've ever seen a were parrot,
Right.
and I think that's what made this so much fun to watch, especially because you got all these hysterical and you got these characters like most of them are unlikable, like hands down. You know, even Delaney has her little bits here and there, like when we finally revealed that she hates Jimmy Buffett, and all her buddies are like huge fans of him, and so it's just like is anyone likable in this movie? But you think about it, like no, and it was so funny because I was watching it with my 14-year-old daughter, and she loves it. She had a blast watching the movie too, and she kept
Awesome.
trying to guess who the were parrot. Like we both were trying to guess who the were parrot was, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but she's the one who got it right before I could. She knew right away who she had a feeling she knew who it was.
Yeah.
So I think that's what works. But I think that was an ingenious move to do a were parrot in this one because you figure Margaritaville, you're thinking beaches, the little tropicals, what tropical settings. You got the little parrots always and these type
Hmm.
of motives, motive motifs. So I think it worked out pretty well.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm like I said, it's just one of those things that just once you thought of it, it was like, well, we have to do that now. I'll tell you the one bit that we didn't get to do that there's a whole long story behind why this didn't happen. But originally, what I wanted to do was I wanted to have everybody getting killed by a guy just in a parrot mask, right? So it was going to be like a mascot costume parrot mask. And then at the end of the movie, they were going to rip that off, and then he was going to be the were parrot underneath it.
Would've been-
And
that would have been
it's
more
just,
insane.
I know, it would have been just completely absurd. But to get basically what the very abbreviated version of the story is that one, it didn't work with the plot, and then two is that like to buy one of the masks that I wanted was like $500, and I was like, I'm not spending that for one dumb joke of the reveal that there's a parrot wearing a parrot mask.
Yeah, I can see that. I like the fact that you make the most out of the budget you work with. It
Oh
doesn't,
yeah,
yeah, because we had talked about it with sewer gators. I'm like, with the little baby gators, I'm like, this could come out of a Dollar Tree for all places. So I know you like to use as little money as possible for
yeah,
these.
man. Well, look, I got kids and a mortgage, Albert. I gotta,
Yeah, I hear that. No, I know, trust me, I know how it is. I know how it is. Well, what was it like working with the cast? I know you worked with some of you got your regulars here, but this is the first I've heard of Jenna Francis Dubich. Where did she come about?
Yeah, so Jenna was absolutely amazing. She came about because a guy that I work with on one of my multiple day jobs that I use to pay for these things. I needed an actress. Basically, when I was originally writing it, we were going to use one of the actresses that I normally put in these things, but she wasn't available for the summer when we were filming. And I had everything else kind of lined up, and I was like, well, I gotta, start filming. So a guy I work with, he's a video editor with me at this company we work at, and I said, hey man, do you know any local actresses? And he said, yeah. Well, what kind of an actress are you looking for? And I said, somebody who will show up on time and remember their lines. And he was like, I got the perfect person. And Jenna showed up, and she blew me away, man. She was much better than what I was expecting. I wound up calling Benjamin, who I work with. I was like, Benjamin, you really undersold her here. She's great. I was a little nervous bringing her on at first because, I'm kind of crazy, Albert, and like there's a certain sense of humor on the sets, and like you've said, I work with most of these people on a bunch of different movies, and so usually when I bring in somebody new, it's like they come on and do a bit part, and then it's like, okay, if they kind of get the vibe and they're cool with it and they're okay, then they can come and be a part of the weirdo family. But it's rare that I put somebody in a lead that I've never worked with before. But yeah, man, she was absolutely awesome and freaking killed it. And I think she'll be showing up in some more movies if I haven't completely turned her away.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great that you got to work with because I like seeing all familiar faces in
Yeah.
different roles. Austin as Bob was cracking me up because he was just like, and I know like he looked like I noticed he looked a little different. Like he was more buffed up in Sewer Gators, and I'm like, no, he slimmed down, but
Hmm.
he actually looked pretty
Yeah.
good there. He's like, wow, but he still had that tough persona, even though he was kind of goofy at times as well, like that. And then of course Carter and Manon. I know Manon only had a special appearance in the opening,
Yeah.
but still, she made the most of her role
Oh
in that.
yeah. She was great. Yeah,
So
and basically what it really boils down to with Carter is I was talking to him about these movies, and he was because he doesn't do any acting outside of these movies, and I've known him for God, like 20 years now. And there's a very, very long story that's sort of referenced in the movie, in which basically Carter lost me 3 grand when we were in Key West one time. Um, it's I won't go into it, but the long and short of it is I was like, hey man, I really appreciate you doing this, and he was like, this is my penance for what happened in Key West. So he feels
yeah,
obligated to do all these movies.
yeah, and just for everyone who doesn't know, this is Carter right behind as the word there, and we and was my daughter and I were talking when he's chasing someone, like the fact that he's like, well, like he starts nipping at him like that. We were literally like cracking up at that. We were just like, he's like, how does he bite someone? He's like, I'm like, he's pecking at him, basically.
Yeah.
He's like, he's pecking at him. But I like the fact that when you have the end credits going, I like the fact that because you rarely you only usually see this in like a behind the scenes type of thing. I like the fact that you get to see Carter's transformation, the special effects thing. With once again, I love the fact that you use these ridiculous credits. So I mean, that was just we just kept looking at it like this is the funniest. I think it's got to be one of the funniest credit sequences I've seen in a long time.
Well, that's what like I did it on Sewer Gators because I was trying. I didn't have a long enough movie, is the honest reason. So I was just trying to make my credits really long, and then it's this funny thing that happened where like half the people who watched it were like, "That's hysterical. That's the best part of the movie," and then the other half the people are like, "I hate that so much. Never do that again." And so I keep doing it in all the movies, specifically for both of those sets of people.
I know. I mean, you got Michael Jackson in the credits. You got
Yeah,
E.T. We're,
I
as
mean,
we're just like looking at the credits, we're just like cracking up, and like we were cracking like as we're watching Carter undergo the makeup, and
mhm.
we just were cracking up at the credits the whole time. We're
That's
just like,
awesome.
this is great. I was like, this is the best credits like I've ever seen. This reminds me of it was an '80s flick called Ninja Academy, and they did the same thing. They meshed like the actual credits with like other like like doesn't make sense credits, and I was like, this is hysterical. This is, but that is for me. That's one of the best bits ever. The credits because as you said, the movies aren't that long, so you got.
Yeah,
I understand you want to stretch it out, but
give
like
everybody
it's
their money's worth,
yeah, and like in Sewer Gators, you got the ranting DJ, the ranting radio DJ, just on this major rant throughout the whole credits, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so funny. But I think you outdid yourself with Murdaritaville, hands
Oh,
down.
thank you, man. Thank you.
And I love the fact the way it opened too. Like you talk about how it was paying homage to Jimmy Buffett, and of course there's that last little bit. This is dedicated to Jimmy. If you don't like it, roll it at your ass. And I was laughing. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good movie. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this one.
Yeah, man, it was like I said, it's weird timing because we shot the thing last summer, and then I was literally editing it, and I was on my way to a con actually. I was driving to a con, and my wife called me, and she was like, "Jimmy Buffett died," and I was like, "Ah, man." And it's one of these things too. Like, obviously, you've seen the movie, so like I I fucking love Jimmy Buffett, man. Like, it
Yeah.
really like
Oh
it's
yeah.
unironically.
You brought like all the references to the song in the whole movie. Like you brought like
But I was concerned at a certain point. I was like, man, is this going to come off as like really bad taste? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want it to be
yeah.
misinterpreted as like, oh, he just died, and these people, like, are trying to do a Winnie the Pooh blood and honey situation and like capitalize off of a guy's death. So anyway, I just I toyed with the idea of holding on to it for a little while, but ultimately, actually, my sound guy Scott was like, it's a nice tribute. Just put it out there. If anybody misinterprets it, they can go to hell. And I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good way, and that's a good way to open the movie too. That's
Right,
right.
yeah.
You know, but there was one element missing because I was like, I was watching the trailer and I first saw it. I'm thinking, is Brock Peterson going to be in this movie? That's my first thought. I'm like, is he gonna like pop up at some point? And unfortunately, we didn't get Brock this time around. I was like,
Brock's
oh,
in there.
was he? Where is? I gotta
He
watch it again.
is he is on the see now you got me
I have to
caught.
watch it. Yeah, now I gotta watch it again because I'm like, wait, I don't remember seeing Brock in the movie. That's why I was.
The opera shark bit.
Oh, oh God! Wait a minute.
Yeah, Brock
Yeah.
intros that. There's a it's a small cameo from Brock Peterson.
Oh, all right. All right. I gotta watch that again. That part was I was in tears when the opera shark came. It's like as soon as we heard it, I literally like, and then you had the freeze frame. As soon as I heard that, I was literally like, I sat there just sitting there, and I'm like, literally, tears were pouring down my face. I was laughing so hard at that. I'm like, where did this shark come from? All of a sudden, one. I'm like, all I hear is, what? I'm like I was in tears. I was literally crying when I saw that because I was like, that was so unexpected. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is like the best thing I've ever.
Well, so it's funny that came out of I was having a conversation. Cameron, the guy who plays the opera singer, he's a buddy of mine from high school, and he's legitimately a professional opera singer. And I was trying to get him to do a part in the movie, not the opera singer part because that didn't exist at the time. And he was like, "Well, can I just sing in the movie and then maybe get killed or something?" And I was like, "What? What am I just gonna have you like sing and then get eaten by a shark?" And then immediately like that starts the wheels
Wait
turning.
a minute.
Actually, maybe not a terrible idea.
You know what?
So
Now I think about it, we should do a spinoff of Opera
of
Shark
Opera
movie.
Shark.
Opera Shark movie. You should do an Opera Shark
we
movie.
we've talked about it. It's a potential. You might see an Opera Shark movie. There will
Oh,
definitely be a shark movie at some point in the relatively near future.
that would be great. I mean, if I see an Opera Shark movie, I'm totally in for that. Like I'd be in it right away. Like have a bunch of opera singers or something like
Hmm.
visiting the area, and all of a sudden they get in by like what is that? They get eaten by the opera shark.
Yeah,
Like
man.
that'd be great. How long did you take to shoot this one compared to the other ones? Because I know you take like a minimum amount of time as well. Like no, that for a fact.
Yeah, it's depends on how you want to count the days, I guess is my I would say we shot most of principal photography in about 4 days. And it shows in the quality of our work, Albert.
That's what I say.
No,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's what I tell people. I'm like, yeah, he shoots these movies in like 3 to 5 days tops. I mean, that's just, but it's still like so much fun to watch. Like you gotta respect that, like hands down.
Uh, 4 days seems to be the sweet spot of like what I can realistically pull off. I've tried to go faster than that, and it becomes problematic. And then I've tried to go slower, and then that just becomes a pain in the ass. So yeah, 4 days. Because the thing is, like, we genuinely don't have any money. Like, I mean, everything, every penny of this movie comes out of my pocket, right? Like,
Yeah,
I'm actively trying to. So you gotta, when you don't have the money to pay people. I mean, everybody gets paid. They just don't get paid very much. So it's like trying to coordinate schedules and stuff because you don't want to ask people to take off of work so they can get paid $50 to get killed by a parrot man.
right.
It's kind of that deal. So yeah, we shot this in 4 days. I try to write my movies now based around like a central location because I
Yeah.
know we can get, all right, we got two cameras running. We're gonna shoot this scene and then we pick up, we move, 50 feet that way, pick up the other scene. I'm probably getting way too technical and you're not interested
Oh,
in
it makes sense.
how to shoot a no budget crappy creature feature.
Hey, it doesn't. Hey, it works, man. Like make your own blockbuster movie. Now you know how to. Now you know one way to do it. So there you go. That's the way to go.
Yes, indeed.
So what's next for you after this? Is there any new projects on the horizon?
Oh man,
Like,
there's yes. Yes is the short answer to that question. The As I said, there will probably be a shark movie because it has been requested by a bunch of different people. I'll put it like that. So like just for example, like Sewer Gators got picked up by a Japanese distributor,
yeah.
and they changed the title to I think it's Wani Wani is how you pronounce it in Japanese. Anyway, but it's apparently done very well over there. Uh, it's I googled the I don't I'm so uncultured. I have no idea what anything is called. What is the Japanese like language written called? Isn't it, there's a word for it.
like hiragana, a kanji, hiragana, katakana. Yeah, there's
Yes.
three of them. Yeah.
So I copy and pasted that of the Japanese title for the movie in Google, and there's all these listings for like major theater chains in Tokyo that it's playing in. So apparently, Sewer Gators has a very big following in Japan.
Wow.
Um, so this Japanese distribution company asked me if I'd be interested in making a sequel, and they specifically said we really like shark movies. So there's potentially sewer sharks in the works.
Or yeah, and do that, and then eventually sewer gators versus sewer sharks.
That now you see you're planning out my whole trilogy. That's exactly
There
the for the third one
we go.
is to wrap it up with that. But yeah, so that we're gonna do some shark movies for sure. The one that I really want to do that is it's gonna be tough because just logistically it would be the biggest, most complicated thing I've ever done. But I think it would be absolutely incredible. I don't know if anybody would watch it, which is the other problem. But it's called. I may have talked to you about this before because I've been wanting to do this for a while. But it's When Igor Met Sally.
Oh yeah,
So
I
yeah,
remember.
it's a musical sing along drinking game horror romantic comedy film in which there's a love triangle between Frankenstein's assistant and a beautiful young lady whose dead fiance he has reanimated in his garage.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a lot, but I think I
I think
have the
you can pull it
script for
off.
that. What's that?
I think you can pull it off.
It's
I think it's time. I think it's time for this to like,
it's genuinely I have the script. It's the funniest thing I've ever written, like bar none. It's leagues funnier than anything else. It's just a matter of like again from a logistical perspective, like because I want to make it a musical because I'm an idiot and I think that's funny. Like in my mind, the idea of a horror rom com musical really makes me laugh. So I
yeah, and
want to
it's
do that.
worked. I mean, yeah, it could be like the next. It could be the new Rocky Horror Picture Show for
Hey,
all we
your lips to God's ears, man.
know. There we go. So everyone, check out Murdaritaville on March the 1st. I mean, this is something unheard of. And if you like Jimmy Buffett, if you like Margaritaville, if you like something different than your usual werewolf or were animal, you want to see a were parrot for the first time, this is the movie to check out. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I really enjoyed it.
All right, well, everyone, take care and have a good day.